Oh, somebody clicked both. They both
ITV land.
Oh, a DVD like. A
So,
DVD
does
campaign.
anybody have a 100 word?
No.
No,
Actually not.
Nobody knows what happened last week.
we sent a young child off to war.
Oh, right,
did.
yeah.
We did.
And amongst other good decisions.
I would like to point out that Gus was the only one that was like, no, we've got 500 gold. Let's not send the 10-year-old off to war. No. We need to send the 10-year-old off to war. For
feel
some
like
He's
reason.
you
not
are-
a war orphan.
You're missing the nuance of how it actually went down.
You really are.
Razu got real mad. Trained him in the poleaxe.
Sure. Sounds about right.
Let's see. I spent 2 days in the stocks. And
did.
minus 5 minutes where I had to stand there and go, do I put myself back in the stocks? And apparently a bunch of dwarves came down from the north. They're in their own like private Resident Evil game, and the King of Dunfoss said we're gonna send an army up there, and that's why Kevin is gone now. We have no one to fetch the coffee.
Can't you get your own damn coffee?
Yeah, get your own damn coffee.
Listen, Gus has become accustomed to a certain level of service.
Well,
Very low? Like, extremely low level of service?
And then we just fast forwarded 3 weeks. I trained Kevin on how to use a mace and a shield and some armor. And I think at some point we also solved the riddle book, so now we can go down in the sewers if we want.
We have indeed solved the lookbook.
We got called from Tom Wolfe. He wants us to. He got what 3,500 gold
something
for
in
the
that
Gnarl Jack,
neighborhood.
something like that.
He
And
wired
he
you
wants
guys
us.
3,500 is my recollection.
Yeah, and
That
he
sounds right.
wants us to come look into the disappearance of his
Contact.
teacher. I don't know. And then also we were the Ponce wants us to organize an
Investigate a sick tower.
Yeah, he wants to organize an expedition and go to that tower. So
And
that-
unsurprisingly, Treble forgot the most important thing that happened last session.
Mhm.
Oh God.
We have a Flumph statue now.
No, the most important thing was the tower thing. I've been
And-
trying to organize an expedition for that, but I didn't want to pay for it.
And it has magic mouth cast on it. So we're like,
That part's pretty good.
We're pretty sure might be illegal.
It's only illegal if it's a public nuisance. We checked the rules.
I think everything Florian does is a public nuisance.
No, Florian
Objection.
himself is a public nuisance.
Objection.
Sometimes he's a private nuisance.
No, he's a private eye. Dungeons and Dragons.
I'm having a terrible
And
mental
perfect.
image now.
Lucius,
Yes,
you put a contact inside the Keyskin embassy.
I did.
What was that dude's name?
That dude's name is in my notes. Let me flip those things open and let you know.
Oh, also, that reminds me that Seeker learned a spell that's going to get him in a lot of trouble.
No. I learned to spell, but it won't get me in any trouble.
His name is Osman Al Sadat.
And how often are you paying good old Al Sadat?
He is getting paid once a month.
So 10
I've
gold
already-
once a month?
Yep, the end of the month.
Two pieces of information. The ambassador will probably be showing up about a week from now. Today is the 23rd of... I have month names here. Stepater. Next month is Olenter. So the first week of Olenter, the Keyskin ambassador, the new guy, is supposed to arrive. All you knew about him up until now is his name, Yuam Kao. 2 choice pieces of information come to you through your contacts.
Okay.
The first is that Yuam Kao is bringing with him, he's bringing his family with him. One of the members of his family is his adolescent daughter, Mato. And there are lots of rumors about Mato. One of the rumors is that one of the reasons he took the position that would cause him to travel is that Mato has some sort of illness that is exacerbated by the climate and temperature of Kiska. And there's a flurry, pressing that a little bit, there's a flurry of rumors amongst the small Kiskan population that does live or trade in Dunfoss about this girl. And you kind of get the sense that in Kiska, the rumor mill is a buzz about her day and night.
What is the climate like in Kiska?
It's Egypt.
Desert.
Essentially.
Okay, all right.
Kiska sits on the coasts of a vast desert amidst the floodplain of a great river. It's just the Nile. The Nile meets the Mediterranean there.
Gotcha. Okay.
The other piece of information is that Yuam Kao has a physical addiction to a somewhat rare designer drug called serpent extracts. His connect, he already has this set up ahead of time. There's a Fearbolg living in Gnome Town here in Dunfoss named Leoro, who's supposed to be his hookup. Once the ambassador gets here and established, Leoro is going to be his connect. This is being set up at the embassy ahead of time. So, give me 2 wisdom checks.
Okay. Oop, there goes that die. First wisdom check is a 4.
Okay.
Second wisdom check is a 2.
Excellent. So that's all you get.
Yep.
The man's going to be here next week. He's got his daughter. There's rumors about her having some kind of bizarre illness. And he's addicted to this drug and already has a connect in Gnome Town to chase that dragon. You guys chased the dragon once, didn't you? Or was it just Seeker?
Well, it was more reverse.
Yeah.
I'll be completely honest. Chasing the Seeker, as it's known amongst dragons these days.
Do you volunteer any of this information to your fellow Flumphanites?
Yeah.
So all of Flumph Inc. now knows this Kiskan embassy stuff.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I will also seal a letter to my father informing him of such.
Okay.
Well, now you're just an arc.
Make a note of that.
Why are you
Okay.
spying on the Keyskin ambassador?
Why? Because we know that he's in the pocket of the flying pig.
Also, Daddy told him to.
Yeah, that.
Lucius is a big old daddy's boy.
Well, listen, if you're gonna do jobs from your dad, he should be paying us.
Is
At
that
least
true?
he could do is pay your freaking guild dues.
What is Lucius's thoughts on that?
I would much rather stand on my own 2 feet, thank you.
So my understanding is that Lucius could have his parents pay his guild dues and chooses not to.
Yeah.
I think Seeker just had an aneurysm.
And Seeker's just sore about this.
Listen, when we weren't doing work for the man, I was fine with it. But if he's going to be a customer, then he needs to get to pay us.
See, here's the thing, though, is that he's not he's not really. I wouldn't say he counted as a customer because he wanted this done as much as we did.
Listen, either he's family and then he pays for his family's guild dues, or he's a customer and then he pays us. Either way, I expect to see some silver.
So I'm
Seeker.
assuming this argument's happening on the barge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Seeker.
let's
Here's the thing.
before we get further in the argument, do Gus, Alex, or Florian have any stake in this? Do they
Yeah,
care either
Alex
way?
does.
Let's get all the opinions on the table and then open up the argument again.
Look, if you just start accepting money from his father, suddenly his father's going to tell us what to do.
Well, that's what I'm
He's gonna
saying.
think-
If we're going to be doing what his father
He's going to think that the money owes him the rights to tell any of us what to do. So I say don't.
What about Florian and Gus?
Gus is going to invite Florian to go in the kitchen and maybe get some coffee or something.
Florian?
Florian likes coffee.
All right. So Gus and Florian are gonna go get coffee. Seeker and Lucius and Alex are hashing this out now. So let's reconvene the argument from that point. Seeker is outnumbered right now.
Yeah, with respect, Seeker, I am very much in line with Alex too. I want Flumph to stand on its own 2 feet. And the minute we bring in my father the minute I bring my father in to pay for something that essentially I should be able to pay on my own, the more he's going to expect that we do more pro bono work for him in the future, and it might be more onerous.
But you're already
Take away
doing
from
pro
what we
bono
are.
work for him. If he pays us, it's not pro bono.
Right now, all it is a matter between a father and his son.
Well, what's your father do? He's some kind of nobility, right? But he has a job. He runs a trading interest, and he didn't tell you that you should get paid for your work.
My understanding is that the Udok family on this side of the ocean, he's a landowner. They own land far outside of the city. So he doesn't actually have like a title or an official role inside of Dunfoss.
So he's a businessman.
No, he's a landowner.
Businessman. This type of business.
Landowner.
Has Seeker actually read the letter you got from Mr. Udok? Big Daddy Udok? Is that what we're going to land on, Big Daddy Udok?
With respect, no.
Poppy, I think.
Poppy.
Just put him in a white suit, like southern, like.
No.
So Seeker,
No, that was the last campaign.
knowing that Gus and Florian, it doesn't bother them clearly, Lucius is against it, and Alex is, like, idealistically opposed to the idea of Daddy sending money. You're outvoted. Are you going to try to stand in the way of Lucius's investigation into the embassy?
I mean, no. Lucius is free to do what he wants. I'm just saying that if he's saying he doesn't want us to be doing pro bono work, that goes out the window the second we start doing pro bono work, which is what he's doing.
All right, then here's the thing. This is coming out of my pocket. It's not coming out of Flumph's coffer. All right?
All of our pockets are basically the same thing as Flumph's coffer.
No! No, Seeker.
I mean, I think I agree with that. That's why I don't want your father's finances mixed with ours.
No, Seeker.
Listen,
like,
I'm not saying we have to get money for this then. If it's specifically a financial problem, fine. But if we're going to be doing work for your dad, is there something that he has influence on, some people he knows, something he can get us that makes this not a waste? How do we get ours? It doesn't have to be financial, it doesn't have to be him paying us, it doesn't have to be formal. But like, is there some kind of resource we can get from this?
I guess at this point, Brick Road, we would have to establish what exactly he does out there in the
What's
middle
this
of,
we shit? He's your dad. All we've established is here. Let me get the map out. The only thing we've actually established so far is that he's a landowner and he's established a plantation somewhere on the coast of this lake. That's all we know for sure.
Okay.
So basically, why don't you first pick a hex somewhere around this lake and tell me where this plantation is?
He's a plantation owner, and you don't want to call him Big Daddy Udoc?
I do want to call him Big Daddy.
Stay there.
All right, let me get my region map here. Tab that again, please. I was looking at Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well this is the water.
You said tab a hex where it was. Okay, fine.
I mean, is he out there in the water? He's in a boat? All right.
That would be pretty good.
Natural grown boats.
So the situation out there is going to be kind of... I won't say it's an exact analog to what Udoc's village was like in our first campaign, but it'll be a similar kind of situation. So,
Okay.
a day's ride to the west, he's got this like river crossroads inn situation here, and a day's ride to the north is this whatever village this is that probably fishes this lake.
Mm-hmm.
But this hex is Udoc land.
Okay.
So how does he make value from that land, and can that value, as per Seeker's request, be used to enrich Flumph Inc. somehow? I guess the question for you is, are you going to pursue this in the letter you've sent, or are you going to deny Seeker the requests and not put it in the letter you sent? It's going to take about 2 weeks to get a response to this letter.
Yeah. I would say that what he produces out there is not like consequential to it would just be something simple and mundane, like whether it be mining rights in that area or something of that nature. But there's also something on his land that it's esoteric enough that there is no profit in it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's something that Flumph Inc. could potentially make use of as like possible potential spell components or reagents for Alex or something of that nature.
Is what this thing is public knowledge? Or is it something that Udoc alone knows about?
I would say it's something that only he knows about.
Okay. So you're going to have to think about what that thing is, and are you putting in the letter that you want payment with in regards to this?
The thing is, I don't want to alienate Seeker. If he feels that my father should have some kind of a stake in this company, then I will respect that.
Just so that like it's more clear what Seeker is planning on getting out of this conversation with. I'm not expecting you to immediately produce some kind of method of some kind of like thing of use. Saying that like keep this in your back of your mind, and if you can think of something that your family can do for us, let me know.
Then I will hold off on that for now.
Okay. Then I will save that map, and we can come back to it next time. Go back to the Dunfoss map where things make sense. We think.
Well, the Donfoss map.
No, things don't make sense here. Like we've already established it.
Gus and Florian are just drinking coffee, like, this is a really good Keyskin blend. Where did you get it, Florian?
Can you get us coffee?
Kiska.
It's just like you just got in Kiska. You went to Kiska. Just went there on like an afternoon trip.
The best part of waking up is Udoc in your cup. Listen, if he's running a tobacco or coffee plantation, we have to call him Big Daddy Udok. It's in the rules.
Can it be coffee, please? McDohl, I'm begging you. I have never asked you for anything else in the world.
I don't know that that's true.
Listen, there is no video proof of me ever asking McDohl for anything.
Another thing you guys might want to think about. It's literally the only other thing I've got on my calendar, except, well, at this point, because I'm going to add a bunch of shit after this session. But 3 months from now, in Dunfoss, there is an annual... Actually, I don't know if it's annual or if it's this year in any event. The last week of the year is an event in Dunfoss called the Magical Games, where some kind of friendly or not so friendly competition between the various magical colleges of Dunfoss to the delights and possible profit of all. That's coming up in about 3 months. And I'm definitely going to build a storyline around it, but in universe, this would be the time where if anybody in Flumph Inc. was going to have any kind of association with the magical games, now would be the time that they start kind of planting those seeds.
How does that work with the cobblestone wizards?
I have no idea. Literally, the only thing I know about the magical games is that there are magical games.
Okay, so the Diviners Guild are definitely the bookies.
Wait, that seems like a very terrible conflict of interest.
That's on brand with the Diviners Guild.
They go around like, hey, do you want to put a bet on the guys that are going to win?
They send letters saying that a certain team is going to win to exactly half of the towns, the people in the town, and then whoever wins, they take that half and they send letters to half of those. Then the third time they ask for money.
Well, pretty sure that would be highly illegal, but if that's what Seeker is doing, the Seeker has 3 months to start drafting up a bunch of letters.
For things to just...
I have a much easier way to go about this, Seeker. That's a lot of work. Here's what you do.
Okay.
The first day of the magical games, you find out who Lucius bet on, and then you tell everybody else bet on the other guy. That's a surefire thing.
Right.
It's a much easier mark to know who's going to win, is just look who Lucius bet on.
That's true.
And then Lucius wins.
You guys going down in these sewers or what?
Yeah.
I love these sewers.
I've got
Let's
plate
go.
mail. We've got like a potion.
So you've solved the riddle book.
Make
and
sure I
you
have a spell list that's
guys-
ready for sewers.
You guys have this ridiculous idea that this gnomish word you got from the end of this riddle book is somehow the key word that will open up the magical lock that was placed by the Blackjackets on top of the sewer. I don't know where you got that idea from. I certainly didn't tell you that's the case, but you all believe it, and that's what's important.
There was a winking.
Yeah. There was a nudge and a touching of the side of the nose. Yes.
Was there? Maybe he just wanted you guys to have a riddle book that he enjoyed.
The dude was so obvious, Seeker got annoyed at him. He was doing a bad job.
At some point, you guys managed to measure out. I think Alexander built a clock.
Yeah, I built a water clock.
Built a stopwatch. How big is this device that you've built?
It's pretty big, but I have a bag of holding to carry it in.
And by use of this, you've managed to figure out when the shift change is at the tower in the White Hart district, in this dilapidated little alley, where this arcane locked manhole goes back down into the sewers. And how much time you'd have to sneak in and open it. You're pretty sure that you can do this without events, provided nobody screws it up. So, my next question is, who screws it up and why?
Gustavus.
God damn it.
We do it. We all do it perfectly.
Man, can we just start doing that in D&D? Can we just start saying, oh yeah, and it goes off without a hitch?
Our caper is flawless.
We had some discussions in Discord this week about there's a variant rule people have come up with for D&D called the Death Flag, And
Can we not?
I've
get
been
into it?
desperate to watch somebody like a table that uses this rule because I think that's exactly how their combat goes. They just decide who wins every round.
So, what? Oh, so I have a familiar. Did Lucius summon? He summoned a weasel, didn't he?
Yes, Lucius is a weasel.
What's your weasel's name?
If it's not Pop, you got some explaining to do.
I forgot my familiar's name.
What is your familiar?
Raven.
The name is Pop, but it's the infernal word for Pop.
Which is still Pop. Where do you think the word comes from? It's a bar. It's a loan word.
Borrow word from Infernal. Yep.
Yeah. So you guys sneak into the tower during the shift change. Do we have familiars out? Are we going in with 3
Is
goddamn?
Florian the only one without a familiar at this point?
I don't have one.
You have a giant mechanical badger.
Badger.
It's a mechanical giant badger. I'll have you know.
Well, no, it's a medium mechanical giant badger.
Well, that's true. Can't argue that with that.
So what I'm hearing is at some point Florian needs to figure out what his familiar is going to be.
I've got the spell. You're free to copy it from me.
I'm going to leave my familiar outside, kind of perched on the top of the entrance.
Okay.
There's a roof over it. There's a building there, right?
God, what would even a Florian familiar be?
There is some kind of
Crab.
small, partially dilapidated tower. At one point in the long ago, it was a guard tower in this area, but it's been in kind of disuse. You can see where in the past couple weeks some minor repairs have been done to the area, simply because there have been moss caps stationed here.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to leave my familiar outside so we have eyes, and also maybe possibly a distraction since it can yell curse words.
Okay, so here's bring everything
Well,
back to the entrance here.
what do you mean by outside? Because keep in mind we're doing this in the middle of shift change, and if the shift changes and there's a raven there,
I mean,
we
it's
might
a
be giving
bird.
it away.
It's
Well,
a
yeah,
bird.
but it's a raven.
Yeah.
Ravens are like you either see them like domesticated or you see them in the woods. It's not like a city
Yeah.
bird.
In any event, you guys are in this room somehow, doing whatever it is you do.
Okay. So Alex pulls out his clock and sets up a series of vials such that it'll drip down and we'll know exactly when. Is it a 12-hour shift? Is it 2 per day or 8-hour shift?
It would be 3 8-hour shifts, most likely.
Okay, yeah. So basically, you can track up to 3 days. Every 8 hours, one of the vials will specifically be empty.
Okay.
Spend several minutes setting this up and placing it there out of his bag of holding. And then I'm going to go ahead and preemptively do a spell. So Alex mixes a couple of vials together and splashes it on Gus, Seeker, and Florian. This is Aid. You gain 5 maximum hit points for the duration of the spell, and those are filled.
Okay.
Okay, so it's like a temp max HP.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So your max HP is 5 higher, and you don't have to heal those immediately there.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
have them.
Yep.
Okay.
So coming down into this room, you can see where the bodies have been moved out, obviously. This fire, this was a torch sconce that was, or maybe it was a brazier, I don't remember now, but in any way, it was lit the first time you came down. It was giving off light. Many of the rooms that you had already explored were lit because they were being inhabited by humans. Now it's completely dark. No light whatsoever.
That's ominous.
Well, I mean, if there were a bunch of the fuzz were floating around your hidey hole, wouldn't you abandon it too?
I'm thinking that the chances of them having abandoned it are pretty low. The reason why I'm finding it ominous is I see it as a sign of them having gotten better prepared.
Also fair.
I mean, it has been a month.
Alright, so
What's that?
Gus, you wanna take the lead?
Yeah, Gus is.
Approaching this door at the end of this hallway, you can see where they braced it from this side, with some some kind of constructed device leaning in against the door, making it impossible to open from the inside. And this is going to have to be dismantled or destroyed before you access the door if you don't have a way to walk through the wall.
Let me get a look.
Does anybody have a way to walk through the wall?
No, I don't.
Can I? Do I think I can take this apart with thieves' tools?
Oh, it wouldn't even require thieves' tools. I mean, if you just spent some time, you can dismantle it by hand and move it aside.
Okay, yeah. Gus, hold the heavy parts for me.
Yep.
I'm gonna take this apart.
In so doing, though, it becomes very, very obvious that it's been tampered with.
Can I make the effort to see how it's put together so I can reassemble it?
You could, but you couldn't do it from the other side of the door while the door is closed.
How's it been tampered with?
You're disassembling it so you can move it away from this door. It's basically a blockade that's been set up so nobody can come
it's
through the door.
It's obvious that we tampered with it. Gotcha.
If you guys go through this door, it's going to be obvious because it's going to be on the other side of the door and it'll have been moved and partially disassembled.
Do you think we should bring it on the inside and then like brace the door so we won't get snuck up on?
What? So the door, like, how is it blockaded from this side?
Unimportant. It just is.
Okay, it's just got some stuff. Okay, got it.
My thought is that what we do is we attempt to put it back together when we get ready to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
And that way we leave no trace of us being here.
Yep, sounds good to me.
Your research beforehand has informed you that the moss cap standing guard don't actually come down the ladder at all. They just stand guard outside of the tower. They probably don't even have the keyword to get in. But if somebody were to come down, it would be immediately obvious that this blockade has been moved.
Yeah.
If we decide we need to block this thing off, and you spend some time teaching me exactly how this works, Alex, I could maybe get something together with a summoned servant to put things back together on this side and then just dismiss it. But you would need to take some time. So let's just keep that in the back of our heads. Keep that under our hats for now.
Coming into the room with the table and the barrels, you see that one of the barrels has been completely demolished. And you can now actually see the mechanism. If you recall, one of the barrels had a spigot, which, when turned, sent water through the complex, which created an alarm further in. That barrel has been totally demolished. You can actually see the mechanism where the pipe goes into the stone wall from here now. The other barrels have been drained. This table still stands here, but the benches are flipped upside down and placed on top of it. And there's no sign of anybody having used the room lately.
Okay, so it looks like there's like dust or whatever. Like this hasn't been well maintained.
I mean, even last time you were here, it was clear it wasn't being well maintained.
Yeah.
Is there an accumulation of dust though on like the undersides of the benches?
There is dust and dirt and grime just kind of all over the place here. There's not going to be a good way to tell whether it's from the
No one's
past month
going
or
through
not.
this area.
Is there anything in the cages? In this cage?
It's an excellent question.
Which is why I'm standing at the distance of my dark vision.
That's why I'm standing way back here.
So, you don't see anything in the cage from this distance, but I will remind you that with dark vision, it is difficult to discern colors or details. So it's entirely possible there is a tiny creature in the cage that's standing still, and if there is, it might be very difficult to tell with just dark vision.
I'm going to put my hand on Gus's armor, have him stop for a second. I'm going to put the continual flame torch I made on Scrappy and have him come over here with it uncovered.
As Scrappy advances towards the cage and becomes illuminated, it does become apparent that the cage is in fact empty. You can see, though, where one side of it has been, if you recall, the cage doors were closed with some kind of latch. The doors have been completely wrenched off now and are missing of this cage.
Probably courtesy of Hawthorne House, you think?
I don't know.
I mean,
I'm going to have Scrappy
it it would make sense for them to dismantle whatever magical nonsense is down here.
Have Scrappy go around, just come over to here, get a better look at these.
Scrappy comes down to the dead end and illuminates the kind of cul-de-sac here at the end. You see the same thing has happened with these other cages. The doors have been wrenched off at the hinges and are not in evidence.
Okay.
However, the cages, including the one across the bridge here, stands empty.
I'm going to cover the light back up at this point.
Do we want to go this way, which we were told goes this way, and there's like that judge guy over there, or do we want to go investigate this way?
I think we should head back to the kennels, but I think we should do it by going right.
Oh, here, you know what? Actually, you guys...
Through like here.
Gesundheits. Where's my revealer? Apparently I didn't save this map. Do I not have a revealer? I'm going to make one.
Threaten me with a good time.
Reveal Fog of War.
Vampire sneeze.
Bring the range
Don't forget
down to about 2.
We also heard tell of some sort of pit that we might want to make sure isn't hiding in a horrible abomination.
Because you guys had checked out this little empty room here and this ledge up here.
Yeah, and then there was like the kennels down here in like this neighborhood-ish. Yeah, that looks...
It was the kennels, and then...
This door, there's a door over here? Yeah. Yeah,
and then the sewer continues on in that direction as well.
Then I remember we had like that basically that kind of standoff where Lucius had Hunger Hadar up in some places.
That was a bad scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say we head... I think we should head up this way and explore down this passageway.
Agreed.
My memory tells me that leads to a large pit where there is a strange creature.
This and this, yeah.
And it just leads over here. I don't know if there's a path over back this way.
I think there might be a path back here as well.
Coming across this bridge, there's a considerable amount of bloodstain on the floor here. As I recall, you guys destroyed a man's head.
Alex destroyed a man's head.
Mm-hmm.
Not willing to share credit for the head destroying, huh?
But the door stands open, and you can see down the hallway. When you come in, same thing. The sconce is doused. You do find where some boxes and things have been thrown against the back side of the room. You see one of these pipes coming out of the wall, one of this partial alarm system. The table is still here, but there's nothing on it, and all the chairs have been flipped up on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And this door also stands open, looking out into the northern artery of the sewers. There is more map up to the north here. It's just this table's not big enough.
Yeah.
How is it that we don't have an infinite table mod?
That's actually like a scrolling table, yeah.
Now, I don't mean a scrolling... I mean just a literally infinitely sized table.
Well, that would be difficult to keep your bearings on after a certain distance as a player.
But you could play that like Angel Devil game.
I don't think the UI is competent enough for that to work.
We would need to be able to do some work.
Previously, there were boxes and barrels and things over here. You can see where they've all been pried open or crowbarred or moved away. And now that those stacks of things are no longer there. Now what's next?
I want to try checking out down this chamber.
In this chamber, you can hear running water coming from that direction.
And I send Scrappy about 30 feet ahead with no light.
And he starts to see the edge of a pit.
What's this
I'll have
way?
him stop about 10 feet away from it.
The other way... How did I lose my revealer? I just had it. It's right there. Let's make it a better color. That I'm always going to be able to see. Let's make it nice and blue. This direction, there's a little door. And then a wall at the edge of the sewer.
Is it a wood door? Is it like a cell door? What is it?
It's a wood door.
Okay. There's a door down there. And we have water down this way, right? Yep, okay.
You can hear running water. When Scrappy goes down, Scrappy can see the edge of a deep pit.
I mean, my initial thoughts is to stay away from the water because we were told that there's a thing down there with possible tentacles. And
Right.
I don't know. Like, that sounds like a thing that's got at least 10 foot of reach.
Yeah, that's why Scrappy's 15 feet away from the edge of the thing. Is there any sound other than the water from over here?
Sounds kind of like a. We're not hearing like a gushing waterfall. This is more like maybe a slight babbling. Somewhat soothing if you didn't know you were in the middle of a dungeon.
I'm going to go ahead and uncover the light on Scrappy and then send him up to the edge.
Okay. And it is a large circular pit. Looking off to Scrappy's right, you can see another one of these cages. Again, the door on this one has been wrenched off. Looking over to his left, the path continues on for, what is it, about 40 feet or so around the edge of the pit. And then there is a slightly higher ledge. It also turns off to the left in a hallway. There are huge chains affixed to a device in the wall here. And each link in this chain is fairly large. Each one looks like it would weigh a good 10 or 12 pounds easily. And the chains lead into the center of the pit. And you see a set of matching chains stretching from the opposite side of the room. The chains are taut.
So I have I've changed my familiar's name. Her name is Nanis, and what I want Nanis to do is find out is to listen to see if there's anything that is beyond the just the running of the water.
Now,
Just listening for that.
we have to push the pause button again.
Okay.
First of all, you're aware of the name Nanis. That's why you used it. Okay.
Yeah.
Without going into too much detail, history has not been kind to Nanis, and Lucius would know this. Like, we're talking like war crimes. It's a little like naming your dog Goebbels.
Okay. See, I wasn't familiar with the context, so
No,
I will reconsider then. Thank you.
I'm aware you weren't, because that shit wasn't supposed to come until Act 2 of the campaign.
Okay then.
So, now that you're aware of the context, you can still totally do it, and I'll be totally happy with it.
No. If that's the case, then no, never mind. I apologize. Nanis is no longer Nanis. It's something else.
It's not Nanis.
I can name it.
Nanis was a minor character from our first campaign, and at that point she was like this, like, teenage, like, really excited, like, college kid kind of character, except the college she was going to was run by evil warlocks.
Yeah.
She got into some shit.
How high off the floor is this chain? Is it easy to go over or under?
Alex could comfortably walk underneath it without having to squish down too much. A human would probably have to get down on hands and knees and climb underneath it.
So Scrappy's going to have to squeeze through it, basically.
Yeah, it's fine. Now, going over here, the mechanism it's attached to is just a large metal structure that's set into the wall. There's not actually a device to it. There's not a winch. There's not a crank or a lever. There doesn't seem to be a way, from here at least, to retract the chain, nor does there seem to be a mechanism by which the chain could be retracted. It's essentially just a large hook in the wall.
Yeah, I'm going to come up in a little bit closer and send Scrappy around the perimeter, see if we can get anything else over here.
Okay.
Oh, this is a wall, isn't it?
It is.
Okay.
It's about 10 foot high, so Scrappy could probably climb up it. And this hallway goes out here. On the ledge above you is just about 10 feet high, so Scrappy could climb up that if he wanted to.
Yeah, let's do that.
And he comes back around the perimeter here to where the source of the water. water from elsewhere in the sewer is draining down into this pit, and there's a bridge that spans the gap to the other side.
Okay. Let's send him over the gap.
Bridge seems sturdy enough, and on this other side, you see another massive hook in the wall where the other half of this chain is connected to.
And then is there enough space for him to get around this cage, or would he have to go?
There's
back
not
around the other way?
without moving the
Okay.
cage.
Okay.
He might be able to climb around the very edge.
Yeah, I'm not going to have him do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll bring him back after that.
So when I say pit, it's not a pool of standing water. The water draining into it is draining down the side and kind of trickling down the brickwork of the actual pit. The pit itself just looks deep all the way down. You can see openings in the various walls as Scrappy goes around the edges of it. The chains are taut because in the center of the pit, maybe 20 or 30 feet down from the lip, the chains are attached to... Let's get a color that will show up here. I get a circle tool. That's not a circle tool. This is a circle tool. The chains are suspending this tile platform. It's not connected in any other way but by these 4 chains. And it's not balanced correctly either. In order to do that, you need to have have the chains like opposed at each of the 4 edges of the circle. Whereas these chains are at opposing edges to the point where if you weren't careful in how you balanced your weight, it would tip back and forth very, very easily. The drop down just looks immeasurable. There has to be water down there somewhere because you're very close to the ocean. And in the walls, you can see various sewer pipes and things coming into this, draining from different areas of the city.
How high above sea level are we? Do we have any idea?
Relatively high at this point because remember, you're on the high bluffs here. Probably a good 100 feet or so at least.
And can we hear the waterfall at the bottom?
You can't hear the water splashing on the bottom. If you listen very intently, you can hear water trickling down the brickwork and down the wall. The main source of it is this artery here, but there are other arteries that will empty out into this pit.
I'm just going to pick up a random rock, infuse it with light, and throw it into the center.
So it lands on the platform?
No, so it falls.
Okay, so down into the pit, and it just falls for a while?
Just trying to get the center of the pit.
Falls for a while.
Throw it under the platform.
Until the light just fades away.
Okay.
So it's very deep.
Probably at least 100 feet.
Hey, Alexander.
Yeah.
You want I can fly out there and take a better look at the at that platform that's down there.
If we could, that sounds like a familiar sort of task. Rather than sending our boy here.
Especially if there's things down there with tentacles.
Yeah. Whisper
By
doesn't
all
mind.
means.
She loves it. Could you give me one of those light pebbles, Alex?
Yeah, sure. I'll infuse a pebble with light and give it to Seeker.
Alright, and I'll toss it over to Whisper, and she'll fly her way over there to look closer at the thing in the center.
Okay. The center, it's made out of the same kind of tile work as the rest of the structure, as the rest of the floor. So it's not actually a perfect circle. You can see where it's been degraded and cracked in places. But it does seem relatively solid. It looks like it could easily support any of your weight. The only other things of interest on the actual stone are... I mean, it's covered completely in grime. It's really nasty looking. But there are 2 things that catch your familiar's eyes. One on either side. One here, and one here. These look like 2 metal rings that are kind of attached to just bolted into the floor. This one, it's large enough to be a handhold. This top one here is covered in these terrible looking spikes on all edges of the ring, the inside and the outside. So anybody trying to grasp it would have to impale their hand to do so. This one, though, you see no such spikes, but it appears made out of a different kind of material, much darker, and the ring itself is much thinner. But both are very sturdy looking and seem to be bolted well into the platform.
So they just look like rings?
They're like metal rings, maybe a door knocker would be a good analog.
Yeah, but they're not what the chains are connected to.
No, the chains are connected to the outer rim at either side. So you've really got a chain connection here, 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 and here.
And Seeker kind of shrugs and says the only thing he can think of is that because this platform doesn't seem to have much of a purpose besides terrifying someone, maybe that's literally what it's for. They chain someone out and put them over the pit.
Check the underside.
Good point. And I'll send Whisper out to look at the underside of the platform.
Flying down the underside, it's somewhat conical, so it's a little fatter in the center. And you see something built there that looks like a metal brazier. And that's exactly what it's like, an upside-down metal brazier. The metal looks like it's made of the same material as this southern ring on the platform.
You think it could have been the other way at some point and then flipped around?
It's possible.
Not likely.
Yeah, I
mean,
not
these
with
things
the
are
way the
really
chains are
cheap.
set up.
Yeah.
You can tell that it's not flipped upside down because the chains are not crossed over. If you were to completely flip the platform over, the chains would cross over themselves.
I mean, if I didn't offer like bad observations, I wouldn't be able to offer anything.
Hey,
All right, well,
Carl Sagan says there's no such thing as a dumb question.
I don't know if we can do anything with this right now. I'm going to go ahead and douse both of those pebbles as well as covering up the lamp on Scrappy, and let's head down this way, I think.
Do you want to check this door, at least open it and peer inside before we move on?
Yeah, sure.
Because if it's a dead end, then...
Let me check for traps.
Make that check. How do we do?
15.
Not only does the door not seem to have a trap, doesn't seem like it has a keyhole. Doesn't seem to be a way to lock it.
Okay.
Okay, I'll just push it open real quick.
And it's not a good room.
It's like a bad room.
It's a pretty bad
That's
room.
a pretty bad room.
Filled with
It's a bad
old
room.
bones. There is, against the southern wall, a much smaller version of the hook and chain setup you saw in the center pit. And there's a chain connected to it, but it snakes partway across the floor where it's abruptly broken. And you see a couple of broken links laying on the ground nearby. Other than that, it's just the smell of death in here.
What kind of bones? Are these animal bones or are they humanoid bones?
Make a nature check.
A nature check. Can I make a medicine check just to see if they're humanoid?
I'll let you use either nature or medicine.
Okay. That is a 20.
A 20. Which one was it?
Medicine.
Medicine. You do identify them as human or demi-human bones. Here's the nice part, is that no single bone you can find is intact. They've all been broken. For example, you find a femur on the floor, it's been cracked and split. And you can tell that most of these had to have been done post-mortem.
Are there any teeth marks or anything on them?
Not that you can tell.
So, how fresh are they?
No, they're very, very old.
Okay, very, very old. Gotcha. All right, cool. So I'm just like more concerned, like nobody's died in the time that we, have been faffing around on the surface.
I'm sure somebody has, but not in that room, probably.
Nobody dies.
It really looks more like people die elsewhere, and then what's left of them gets thrown into that room.
Mm-hmm. No death flags for the NPCs.
Okay, coming down this hallway here, you come to a T-juncture.
I'd say turn right because we have a rough idea of where that leads. Just make sure.
Coming down this way, you come into a small room where you can climb the stairs and get up to the upper ledge of the pit area, and there is a door opening off to your left here that then connects back to the S bend in the artery.
All right, let's take a look at this direction then.
This is just a straight up prison cell. Appears to be a holding cell. You can see where people can be manacled to lengths of iron rod that are bolted into the wall, which suggests that it's a room meant to hold lots of prisoners at once.
I don't like this place. This place was not supposed to be a prison, was it? It was supposed to be a sewer, correct?
This was a failed attempt at giving Dunfoss a sewer system. It's kind of known to be some old king's folly from way back in the day.
Right.
But it's clearly been repurposed for less altruistic activities.
Do we want to check the...
Yeah, let's check. Let's just take a quick look over the kennels.
Okay.
Why don't you send a...
Yeah.
We could stand here and just have the familiar fly in there. Oh, yeah, that good. That works too.
These rooms look relatively intact.
They look pretty much like you left them. There's no sign that the creatures are still here, though.
All right.
We killed them.
I think we did kill most of them, didn't we? Yeah.
We killed all of them.
And
They were like weird, blinky, dimensional things. I'm not sure that one of them didn't blink away.
Sending Scrappy north up through here.
Yep.
Coming up into this area, it's a two-tiered room. So you have a higher ledge and a lower ledge, and you can see several of the cages sitting in this room. What's interesting about these cages is they don't not only have the doors been wrenched off, but they also don't have complete bottoms. There's a hole in the bottom of each one that, looking at it, looks like it can be affixed to 3 small pits bored into the floor here. Right now, the cages have been completely taken off of these pits entirely, but there are 3 of them, and eventually the room opens up into the northern artery again. And you have a door on the right-hand side on this higher ledge.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send Scrappy over to here real quick.
So passing up these little pits in the floor, there's actually a tile ring set around each one. Each one's only about maybe 1.5 feet wide, but the circumference of them is pretty regular. These are definitely intentional circular pits.
And it just looks like these cages could, like, go over them.
Yeah, if you, like, the satisfying click you get, like when you put a blender on its base, that's the situation.
How big are the holes?
They're big enough for you to put your arm down into.
You don't say.
How about we pass some light down there and see what we can see down
Yeah,
there?
sure. I'll make a light pebble.
And which one do you drop it into? Which of these 3
I'm gonna
little
drop
holes?
it into this one because this one
The center one?
speaks most to me. Yeah.
Drop a light pebble down the center hole. And what kind of radius does that give off?
5 feet.
Surely gives more than 5 feet of light.
No, it's like this is my not
Like
even a
equivalent.
spell class feature.
It's a candle, basically.
It's a very dim light.
Okay. So you hear... So it's really only 5 feet?
Yep.
Okay. You hear the pebble collide with something some distance down, but it's further than the radius of the light. You're sure if you put your hand down in it, you wouldn't be able to touch the bottom.
What do I get with my double sight dark vision out to 120 feet?
You can see the pebble laying in the bottom of the pit.
Okay.
Probably 20 or 25 feet down.
Okay. So, is it too narrow for someone to completely bodily fall through?
Even your gnomes wouldn't be able to fit down this hole.
This kind of screams like they put the cages here for like waste disposal, possibly.
Is there water?
So that
or
was
anything at
my
the bottom?
question. Is
No,
I'm gonna
no
bring
water.
my familiar over who has advantage on smell checks.
Mhm.
Can they smell anything coming out of the hole?
Just the ambient grime of the place.
And yeah, so I'm gonna say it's not like a latrine pit or anything.
Not one that's been used
Well,
recently.
I mean, the whole place kind of smells like a latrine.
Oh, true, but
I mean-
is there any bloodstains streaking down the sides up here into the surface?
No, not that you can see.
Okay.
That'd be
But,
something. That'd be an example of something that you'd have great difficulty seeing with dark vision, but you'd be able to see with light.
Yeah.
Uh,
We do have light up here.
And the all of these cages have broken doors, right?
All the doors have been wrenched off.
Like wrenched off. When you say wrenched off, you mean like with great force, like somebody very strong just tore them off? Or
I
they
mean,
were just disassembled.
somebody gave an order, ripped the doors off these cages, and somebody was very happy to comply.
Okay.
I don't need to be that strong. You use a crowbar, get some mechanical
Yeah.
advantage.
Crowbar, yeah.
Okay, and coming out here, looks like you can go either left or right, or there's this door on this high up ledge. It's about 10 feet.
So wait, I'd say check this way. Like, does that continue? I just can't tell if it's just like not.
Yeah, it continues.
That's the wall. Okay.
And eventually, it comes to a set of stairs leading up to a higher ledge, and a bridge, again going across the artery, and a door. There's also a turnoff to the left as soon as you get to the top of the stairs.
Let's go check that out.
Looking down into this room, at one point, this might have been a storage room, but now it stands empty. There might have been treasure here a month ago before the blackjackets got a hold of it.
Oh, think of all the Vorpal blades we've missed out on.
And then you've got a door right here. This door, it looks like the same wooden doors you've been seeing around the place, but there's a wooden crossbeam that looks very new. Not only does this crossbeam look new, but the metal bolts that hold the beam to the wall on either side are not rusty.
Let me. I know this is silly, but I'm going to check it for traps.
Go ahead.
I don't think that's silly.
Not at all. I
That's a
think
12.
No traps, but this crossbeam also cannot be removed out of here. Like, you'd have to actually remove the bolts.
Yep,
This is
and
definitely a
that's-
new fixture.
And I'm going to pull my smithing tools out of my kit and start working on that.
Can I have your crowbar and I'll try the other one?
You can't. This isn't a crowbar situation. You're going to have to actually remove these
I'd
bolts.
rather not strip whatever these are on.
There's no quiet way to go about this. And
Where are we? So, like, this is the door right here.
Yep.
I'm not too worried about anyone in this side of the pit. What's on the other side of this bridge?
More dungeon.
Or sewer.
But like, what? Like, is it like a tunnel? Is it like a hole?
So it looks like this section of the dungeon flipped vertically.
All right,
So
if
you'll-
it makes you feel better, Seeker, I'll have Scrappy on guard at this edge of the bridge.
I was
Immediately on
more
the other
looking
side
for
of
if there
the
was something I
artery.
could have fixed the beads to.
No. Immediately the other side of the artery. I mean, there's just another walkway like the one you're on.
Yeah, he'll
And
just
then
be at the
Many
intersection of
other
the bridge
hallways.
from that
and
walkway.
doors.
And Scrappy falls to the world and just like a video game because the terrain didn't load in.
Directly across this bridge, on the other side, from just where you're at with your dark vision or whatever, you can see a small area, actually a larger area, where two more of these cages with the doors wrenched off. So yeah, lots more.
Yeah, that's
dungeons.
good for me. I'm going to pull out my smithing tools and get this thing off the crossbeam off this door.
And after a few moments, you do. You pull the crossbeam out, and it's good, hard, solid wood. This is definitely a new fixture in this dungeon.
I'll set it to the side, back up, send Scrappy over. Would you like to do the honors, Gus?
Yeah, I open the door.
Open the door. Upon entering the room,
Oh no.
Ah,
it's a relatively well-furnished room. There's a nice rug, there's some bookshelves, there's a nice bed sitting there. Sitting on the bed is a very elderly and very naked man. He's got cloth draped across his lap for the sake of modesty, and what he's doing right now is he's laundering clothes in a wash tub with a scrub board. He's thin and gaunt, and he has wispy white hair clinging to the sides of his bald head, and great deep bags under his eyes.
Gus is Just
and
like
I need to take my dog outside. So why don't you guys think about how you want to kill this innocent, harmless old man, and I'll be back in hopefully just let's call it 5 minutes.